Hey everybody. So, Anvil has just released a new patch. The devs have graded us with some patch notes, and this patch came out on August 2nd and is going live today. And if you are in game, you can leave now and update it. If you're not, then it should be ready and shipped out for you once you get online. This will be live on Steam and Game Pass as well as Xbox platform. Just a clarification real quick. I am pretty sick right now. I'm making these patch notes and, well, reading over these patch notes, sorry, whilst dealing with the big COVID. So, anyway, to get on with this, I have not read any of these notes. This is going to be my first reading of them, seeing what we've got. All I know of these notes is from what I've seen on the Twitter and Discord, of them sneak previewing a couple of the weapons a couple of days ago. So, to begin with, we have the patch notes. Start with weapons. There's 5 new melee weapons that have been added. Each weapon has a unique attack combo. Axes. There's a jet axe, an axe equipped with a jet thruster that swings with incredible force. Guillotine, Mountain Rush, Toes, and Quake can use this weapon. Guillotine and Mountain can unlock and use as a starting weapon. So what this leads me to believe is this is going to be similar to the Jumper Hammer that the melee breakers can have. Just because of the way melee weapons are in the game and how they're not that strong and fall off pretty hard, I'm going to imagine this is going to be true with the below weapons too, including the axe. Unfortunately, they really need to give some love to melee weapons and make stuff like critical power magazine, even though it's a magazine, still operate with them, just because they fall behind in power because of these reasons. Moving on though, we have a hammer. We have a Volt Hammer. A hammer that can switch forms. This will be cool if this is actually how it works. Guillotine, Mountain, Rush, Toast, and Quake. Guillotine and Mountain can unlock this weapon as a starting weapon. So the reason I say this will be cool if this is actually how it works is because being a weapon that only works for these, that only works for the melee breakers, the heavy breakers, leads me to believe that it's only going to be a melee weapon, and when it's saying a hammer that can switch forms, it's probably referring to the combos on the weapon, where if you hold it down, it'll probably do a different attack, then if you hold it down for a little bit longer, it'll probably do a different attack, and then if you hold it down for a final time, all the way to the end, it will probably have a penultimate attack that does slightly more damage than the first. I very much doubt that this weapon can physically switch forms, say going from a hammer to being cannon weapon, for example, just because it would break a lot of mechanics within the game. It would be probably pretty hard to code as well, considering how the relics all function. So I'm hesitant, but I'm optimistic. I hope this is a good hammer. Moving on to the new blade weapons, we have Saw Edge, a terrifying blade with Wait, hold on, I'll try that again. A terrifying blade with sword-like jagged edges, striking an enemy 10 times inflict bleeding. So this is similar to his default sword, and by his I mean Draken's default sword. Jungler, Sandman, Lightning, Liner, and Draken can use this weapon. Draken can unlock this as a weapon, so he has more variants now. Is this true for all of them? Yes, so this is true for all of them. Draken having more starting options is great. Uh, Ironically, he works better with a Crasher, but Liner actually works really good with swords. The fact that it inflicts bleeding still is kind of sad. I was kind of hoping that this weapon would be a different element instead of having 2 swords that apply bleeding, because that just means one's going to do slightly more damage than the other, and then there's what's the point of picking up the other variation. Electro Edge, a unique blade with extremely high voltage flowing through it. Striking an enemy inflicts shock. Oh, this is good. This means you don't have to start with a shock reactor anymore. Again, though, it's a melee weapon, and this is the same with the axes and the hammer. Being a melee weapon means that you're likely just going to drop it so you can use a weapon that has ammunition, so you can make use of critical power magazine. But again, another starting option for Draken means his early game is going to be a little bit more stronger, as you can start with a different 4th relic, as well as use this sword until you find a Crasher. Venom Edge, a blade coated with poisonous substance, striking an enemy inflicts poison. So this is good. That's tough actually. It's hard to say which one's going to be better. You might end up playing Electro Edge just for the defense shred. But then again, Draken has a defense shred. No, you'd run Venom Edge as your default sighing weapon, and then swap it out for a Crasher when you can find it. Having Poison is really strong. I hope that the attack animations are fast and consistent, but Liner having more options as well means, oh, I should have touched on that. So Liner being able to start, well, not start with Electro Edge, but find Electro Edge in his run. If you did a Sword Liner run, this means you no longer need to start with a Shock Reactor. You just pick up a Electro Edge in your run Liner with the Sword, and now you have a 200% attack speed Liner with acceleration module and 100% crit on his tripwire, and a sword that applies shock to reduce defense by 50%. You can get some pretty disgusting damage out of this. I can already see it without even knowing the numbers. Relics. So Season Challenge exclusive Rec Room relics, acceleration, recharge. So this is referring to the Season 1 relics. Stuff like Mercy. Mercy is the strongest attack power relic in the game. If you can maintain your health at 100%, Mercy is gives you 100% attack power, which for most breakers is 200, but for Uzi and Lightning is 275. Will now appear in Symphonia, Campanella, and Campanella Extreme. This is really good. Actually, this is probably the best change in this entire post so far. This makes this a lot easier to get for people who are struggling to find Mercy in Seasonal. This lets you farm easier content like Symphonia, and just have a higher chance of finding it, and having more consistent ways of farming it out instead of trying a Seasonal, dying, going again, and just going over and over. Or if you're a slightly more skilled player and you're a little bit more comfortable with the game, you can farm out Campanella, like Campanella Normal, because Campanella Normal will only show you tier 2s and tier 3s, which means you'll be able to put Mercy in your high priorities, and then have just constantly speedrun Campanella as best as you can on someone like Jungler, or a breaker that you're more comfortable with, and try and farm out that relic as fast as you can. It also appearing in Extreme makes characters like Liner a bit better if you do infinite mag starts, because you'll be able to find Mercy in the room. And it also means characters like Uzi, who usually, if you're doing a weapon build with shock reactor type stuff with assault pistols, usually starts infinite mag as well, would also be able to find Mercy. This is really good change for them, and it brings up their power levels just as a side. Just out of it being a change in general, brings up their power level a bit. The characters that already start with Mercy don't really get affected with this. I mean, recharge is really nice for Jungler, as cooldown is his biggest restraint in Extremes, but in general, really good change. Improvements. Breaker skin icons will now appear. This is referring to a bug that was happening. They say improvements, but it's just a fix to the old UI. That was an issue where if you changed your skin on some breakers, their skin icons didn't get updated, so it would show it still as like the default skin. I think this was true on Bront. On one of her alternate skins, it was showing it as like Elsa's default skin, but then like the actual skin itself was Bront's skin. It's just the icons that were wrong. UI improvements made within game. Oh, this is the game lobby UI improvement. UI for managing weapons and relic and season challenge lobby improved. Okay, so this is cool. So every patch that they do and every season they do, they seem to be slowly improving upon the UI. So improving the UI once again is good. The clarity is probably going to be even better now. I'm glad that this line right here for managing weapons and relic and seasonal challenge lobby is improved, because this was an issue where there would be an awkward delay after upgrading a weapon if you're in multiplayer settings. Desert and jungle map environment effect improved. Okay. I'm gonna hope this means that they've toned down the sepia filter a little bit, as entering the map as a colorblind person was like getting flashbanged every time. When challenge task is complete, a notification UI will appear letting people know which task is achieved and the corresponding reward received. I'm going to assume this is meaning stuff like the Desert Battle Worker event, or the Relic Probe defenses, or the Alien Nest stuff. I can't think of any other way that they would be able to further improve on the end game results for saying that you've completed a planet or you've completed a run, as it's pretty obvious already. But I hope this is just going to give more clarification to people who are getting confused by when they finished defending a probe and it would say failed suddenly for some reason. Bugs. Oh, there's a lot of bug fixes. Breaker soaring into the sky, the desert 3x3 battle worker map has been fixed. This wasn't just a battle worker map. This actually happened on every single map. If you played a breaker like Rush or Uzi, who can force themselves to move very fast at a high pace as well, in like a second, just by pressing, say, Lightning Flash or Phoenix Wings, and you did it up a ramp, there was a chance when you got to the top of the ramp, you would just go straight up. This happens as well with stuff like Werewolf Gauntlets and other things if you have a lot of attack speed. And it honestly can happen as well on any map where there is slight terrain that you can like step over. It's kind of funny because you can launch yourself into the skybox and start walking across the skybox, but it seems that they fixed it for this particular map. I'll be interested to see if they fix it in the jungle maps too. Battle workers attacking each other emerging when Breaker uses teleport, while battle workers are far away has been fixed. So this is referring to lightweight breakers who would use their teleport survival skill. Battle workers that were far away would then snap to them, as in basically respawn right on top of them, which will cause them to kind of get stuck within the battle workers and not be able to move until they use their teleport again. The location indicating correctly posting to a different direction when a boss is off screen has been fixed. This is good. This will just help people know where the telegraphed attacks are coming from when they're off screen, as well as help speedrunners with things like Arctic Gear, who on their final phase likes to charge across the map. It will help our Sandmans be able to land their sand snipes more consistently. Burn being applied after clearing and leaving the planet has been fixed. This is referring to, I think it's the burn puddles on Vulcanus armor, as well as Lava Gigantus and Vulcanus Queen. What would happen is if you stepped in the puddle as you were transporting to a different planet, the burn effect would stay on you, and you would have a glitched visual where it looks like you're on fire the entire time. When status effect duration is increased is applied, the number of times it takes to reach status immunity changing to 7 instead of 5 has been fixed. So this was basically because, for some reason, when you're picking up a weapon that had status effect scope on it, it would ignore the diminishing return portion, and it would give you basically an extra status application in some cases. That's not intended, as you can tell from it being fixed, but also led to sloppier play being more forgivable, which shouldn't be a thing. You should have to learn and learn from your mistakes. This basically made it so your mistakes were not as noticeable because you would still have your statuses. Skill damage effect not being applied in multiplayer mode has been fixed. We had this issue with attack power as well, so I hope that's been fixed. There was issues of certain relics which had a condition, so like Mercy, which requires you to be at 100% health. This was also true with stuff like Skill Power Magazine. Sometimes when you got to the threshold to make the thing trigger upon you, it just wouldn't trigger. And we had the only way we fixed this was on weapons getting our ammo lower, reloading, and then letting the animation play out, and then it would give us the buff. But the only way we fixed Mercy was our player had to take damage to the point where they were almost critical health and losing their immunity to then heal up somehow to get back to that threshold to then get the effect reapplied. Effect be applied to the weapon that applies bleeding to one subject. So this is referring to a reactor bug. The bleed reactor was considered a tier 1 when it was on a weapon for some reason, even though it's meant to be a tier 2, the purple quality. Toast being unable to end at games or play after dying due to overheating for weapons like the flamethrower has been fixed. Toast, this I've never had this interaction, but that's cool that it's been fixed. Now let's hopefully they just fix Toast. Jungler's explosive mines skill effect is now shown correctly. This is referring to a bug where Jungler's mines just wouldn't make sounds. Vulcanus armor leaving the map when it jumps has been fixed. This is referring to a bug where Vulcanus would jump to do its attack where it lands at a player and puts walls up around you and then summon lava waves, but if there was a decoy where he should be landing, he would just stay in the air. Mantis red eye being stuck in the ground has been fixed. Same thing. If there was a decoy above where he should be popping out, he would just stay in the ground. Breaker UI for the Thai language being incorrectly shown for breaker skills tab has been fixed. This is just a localization issue that they have now fixed. Relic King of Heart has changed to King of Diamond. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why that's considered a bug. If they're just changing it. Stats for increased damage to bleeding being incorrectly shown is now fixed. So this might make people believe that bleeding target wasn't working, but bleeding target was working, it just wasn't showing on your stat page. Max season points as well, 174 to 186. Yeah, so the previous season cap was 174, which led players like myself who got to 174 pretty quick to no longer receive seasonal upgrades, and we got crons instead. They're now giving out 12 players upon logging in, so you guys will get this when you actually log into the game. You'll just get given 12 season points to be able to finish out the trees. Next, Giant's Neck not being applied to Bront when she upgrades detonate to skill that increases areas has now been fixed. This is a good change, although it might sound like a bad change to some people. So what would happen was Bront would have her debuff orb, where it would increase the size, but also apply 50% damage taken increase to the target as a starting skill, and then Necklace of Giant Strength would stop hurting her. This is a bad thing, as this now means if she couldn't hurt herself with this, means Crit Defender would not stay stacked, which is a very large crit chance relic to be having. It will go up to 50%. That's just a problem, as well as just other various things just wouldn't work on her either. This includes Necklace of Trade, even though they haven't listed it here. I would hope that that's also fixed. Directional icon showing fallen ally location in multiplayer mode being incorrectly shown as fixed. I've never noticed this. Effects that can only be applied once on a weapon is being applied twice in season charge mode. Weapon option has been changed. So this is referring to stuff like Critical Power Magazine. In seasonal challenge mode, sometimes you would have Critical Power Magazine on the weapon, roll it onto another slot, and it would work. That's not meant to happen. Things that have a requirement on their things that have a prerequisite, for their effect to take effect. So Critical Power Magazine needs you to be over 70% ammo. Those effects shouldn't stack on a weapon, but they were, and that they've fixed that now. When using upgrade system, the connecting lines being a different color and intended has been fixed. I never noticed this. I think that's just because I'm colorblind, but I've never noticed that. Incorrect notification showing in Breaker Relic Probability Management tab has been fixed. I don't know what this refers to either. The incorrect preseason label in the title menu has been removed. So this is referring to when you're logging in, it was saying it was a preseason. It was not a preseason. That's been removed now, so hopefully any confusion about that has been gone. Others, okay, so this change right here is probably the biggest thing for anyone who's competitive in this game, or wants to try to be competitive on the leaderboards in this game. A stricter system to remove cheaters has been set in place. As we announced in our official Discord and Twitter, those players using third-party programs and manipulating game data will be warned and can be removed from gameplay. So, I'll get some clarification on this. You have a very small pool of players who actually speedrun this game and theorycraft and put thousands of hours into this game, myself being one of them. We try our best to get as fast as time as possible, to the point where we got the time down to being 1 minute 54 in extreme, and realistically the only way we would get faster is with some insane RNG for relic options early, and even then we could only see it being 1 or 2 seconds faster. There were players who were manipulating game data by changing the files, as well as using training bot programs to pretty much instantly kill enemies and set times on breakers that just weren't realistic or achievable in the slightest. We saw things like Quakes doing 0.01 second clears. It's just not possible. This seems to have addressed that and fixed it. I know this was a large issue on Xbox, so hopefully this is fixed for you guys too. Rankings will now be reset. Cool. More rankings to chase. A new button in the title menu leads to official Discord. A QR code that leads to the Discord will be shown on the Xbox. Cool. Get more people in the Discord, because we are cool people. Well, we help people out. We make guides, as well as it's a nice place to be to just find people to run with. If you have any questions, people there usually can answer it, or if not them, I'll be there. I'm a moderator in the Discord and love to chat to people, so I hope this has been insightful. I'm a little bit sad that there hasn't been any breaker changes. I would have liked to seen some Bront buffs as well as some Toast buffs, but as well as just general weapon balancing. But hey, I can't complain about us getting new content. So let's hope in the future we'll see something like that. I hope this has been a little bit insightful, as well as I would like to know what your takes are on any of these changes. Is there anything that you expected to see or didn't see? Let me know in the comments.